With the fifth pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Joe Alt, tackle, Notre Dame.
What's going on, you guys? Jake Silva here on Chargers Syndicate, giving you everything LA Chargers news. If it is your first time ever here on the channel, I encourage you guys to like, follow, and subscribe. Hit the bell button to keep you up to date on future and past episodes. Yes, guys, draft day is officially here, and there were so many different moves that were all made all throughout day one of the 2024 NFL Draft. And as Charger fans, we walked into this thing very excited because a brand new regime, brand new era, and this is what the Chargers, they needed to address up at number 5. Super excited throughout the entirety up onto the draft, and so we're going to get right up into it. So the number 5 pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the LA Chargers select offensive tackle from Notre Dame, Joe Alt. To me, I felt like this was definitely a pick that felt a lot like a Harbaugh pick. But one thing that's crazy to me is that Joe Alt, a 6'8", 320-pounder that could play both those tackle spots, even though he's mostly played at the left tackle position. But some of the coaches that have worked with him up in the past could definitely help to shift him up into the right side. Harbaugh did make it clear that he wants to build upon a unpenetrable offensive line that will guarantee protection for Justin Herbert, but also running the ball harder and harder each and every snap. And this is where Joe Alt really does fit in well with this. So the Chargers taking Joe Alt up on this, what are the things we needed to know about Joe Alt? Well, first and foremost, Alt only just allowed 5 pressures and 1 sack last season on 368 pass block snaps. So for comparisons, who did he end up comparing to? Well, the guy that he's going to be basically playing on the opposite side of the line, and that is Rashawn Slater, who at his final year in college only allowed 5 pressures, 0 sacks, and his final year on 355 pass block snaps when he was at Northwestern. So now the Chargers will now have 3 former first-round O-linemen from Rashawn Slater, Zion Johnson, and now Joe Alt coming into a part of this. Harbaugh ended up mentioning about Trey Pipkins, saying that I think Trey is one of our 5 best right now. That includes Joe Alt on our football team. There would be a spot for Pipkins on the starting 5. So what it sounds to me like is that with the Joe Alt pick, that Jim Harbaugh does intend to maybe potentially moving Trey Pipkins from the tackle and maybe into the interior side. So that leaves it with Rashawn Slater, Zion Johnson / Trey Pipkins. And then depending on, because there is a center that they've got as well. They ended up getting Bradley Bozeman, but I'm sure they might end up taking a younger center to help them for the next 5 years ahead. Jamari Salyer, and now Joe Alt. So this now helps the Chargers to really have an impenetrable offensive line that will give them time to throw in the pocket and then also come up with the best running schematics that Greg Roman has in store. So I know a lot of Charger fans feel like this is not the sexiest pick at all at number 5, but you got to understand one thing, guys, is that the NFL draft, anything can happen up to this point. Now, many people, I'm sure, probably were ripping the Chargers of, why did they take Joe Alt? They had Malik Neighbors right there up in their hands. Why didn't they take a receiver? Why didn't they end up taking Brock Bowers instead of him going to the Raiders? There were so many things that were shoulda, woulda, couldas that could have happened, in this draft. But like the NFL draft, there's so many different things that could possibly happen from here. But that only means that this will lead up to a few takeaways from here. If the Chargers didn't take wide receiver in day 1, my guess is they may end up taking a receiver either in day 2 or in day 3. Either one of those. But the whole roster set from the draft is fully stacked and loaded. So there is still opportunities for receivers to be taken in this draft. So the Chargers are not in any types of panic mode whatsoever. And so this is where I think you had to get the best player available, whether it was the offensive tackle, receiver, tight end, whatever it was. And the Chargers, we had a feeling they were going to end up choosing offensive tackle. And so now this now allows them to have a stronger meshed offensive line, a protected barrier for Justin Herbert and for the run game. So now that's completed. The other thing is that they're going to try to address center. They're going to try to address wide receiver. They're going to try to address corner. So there's multiple other, possibilities that could happen for the Chargers moving forward. But yes, the takeaway is they might take a receiver in day 2 or day 3. This also means I have a feeling and a hunch that Jim Harbaugh is going to end up taking his guy, Blake Corum, if he's still available, because of this type of offensive line. They want to run this ball hard, and they want to end up getting the right guys in a lot of these right positions. That's what I feel like that the Chargers are honestly going to end up doing. No, this does not mean that they're going to be running heavy every single snap, every single time that they have the ball, and they're not going to allow Justin Herbert to throw. This just means that there's plenty of protection for Justin Herbert to stay poised in the pocket so that he does not get injured like last season. Plus, helps them with a heavier run game that they were 27th on last season. So let's stop complaining. Let's stop with all of this, nonchalant stuff, because in the end, if the Chargers were going to be smart enough to end up, taking this type of pick and also at the same time, make it harder for Kansas City and for other pass rushing defenses to try to get to Justin Herbert, that's the whole goal. They want to make it super, super hard for them to go against the Chargers to where they've got a really, really good stacked offensive line, and this now allows them to become a ferocious offense. First, I think this was the philosophy. The first thing you do, get protection, add protection. Now, the second part is now you attack. And I think this is exactly where I think day 2 and day 3 is honestly going to end up looking like for the Chargers moving forward. But round 2, round 3, interesting to see moving down the road. My opinion, I like the pick. I like the fact that we're able to beef up an offensive line. We're able to give Justin some help. But then in the end, this is where now you've got to get pieces to now start to attack offensively. That's not only just running the football, but that's even trusting in Justin Herbert's capabilities for him to throw the ball deep downfield and make accurate throws, to where this now that those were those grit grinding games that they lost every year, this is now becoming a little more of the trendy side to where this really does help the Chargers moving forward. Appreciate you guys. Let me know what your thoughts was up on the pick. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell button and keep up to date on future and past videos as well. And I will see you guys with more videos to come for the next phase of the NFL draft. See you guys later. Don't panic. And always remember, trust the process, trust Jim Harbaugh, trust the regime, and don't forget to always bolt up. See you guys in the next video here on Chargers Syndicate.